So I've been pushing myself to come back and speak my mind again. The last time I did this, I was in the car. It was nighttime, 100-day streak. That's where I was at. Had just finished the 100-day streak and starting a new one. So where we left off, I continued on my path. It was bumpy. You know, I was coming out of that 100-day streak with a lot of charge, a lot of energy. I felt good, you know. I had just done the 100 days, so I was pumped. I was jazzed. You could feel it in the video, you know. I rewatched the video, and you could just, the energy was palpable, you know. It's not that I don't feel that way right now, because I do, but there was definitely this charge from the success. You know, it's still a big deal for me, those 100 days. I started another streak since then. I went 30 days on this streak. I was shooting for 100, but you know, you gotta aim for the stars, and what do they say? Hopefully you'll land on the moon. So shoot high, 100 days. I was shooting for another hundo, and we got to 30. So I wasn't too upset at all. You know, I try to remind myself that even though I didn't get to 100, it's just a number. You know, the numbers are one thing, but the way you feel, the way you present yourself to the world, that's becoming more important to me. It didn't used to be. I was always in this mindset when I was younger, and it's still something that I'm trying to unravel and undo from my personality, which is this like I don't care attitude. You know, why did I get like that? When I was younger, a lot of my anger derived from feelings of not having what I felt was owed to me. Yeah, that's a grip. But early in my childhood, I was already looking for masculinity and unconsciously looking for masculinity. I didn't know that this was what I was doing, but now reflecting on it, I can see how a lot of my actions revolved around this. And so being young, looking around for signs of masculinity unconsciously. How did I know this was happening? Because one time, I remember one of my aunts, we had moved to Mexico. We were gonna go to Mexico. And we didn't want to go. But my mom took us, kicking and screaming, right? It was me, my brother, my sister, and my mom. We're all going to live in Mexico for a year because she had some time off from school, my mom did. Long story short, my aunt was like, hey, all the kids in school, they're gonna ask you who your dad is. I was like, what? Why is that important? And she's like, you know, over there in the USA, El Norte, they would call it the North. She's like, over there in the USA, in the North, I don't know how it is over there, but over here, it's like a big deal, you know. It's a big deal because it's like kind of a small town. Everyone knows everybody. It was a small town over here in the USA where I live, but over there in Mex, it was like tight knit, but not so much. Why people? Okay, the culture. That's what it is. The culture. The culture is a little different. So kids, they're like really curious about who your dad is, who your mom is, who your aunts are, who your cousins are. It's like networking. Like they're more keen on social networks right from the jump. For some reason. I mean, I'll probably pick at that a little bit later, try to figure out what's going on there, but that's what it is. That's what happens. So true. I go to school, and yeah, kids are asking me these questions, and my aunt was like, when they ask you, she had like a little one liner that I was supposed to say, like, tell them that your dad, I forgot what it was, but I just remember that she already knew. She already knew, like, it's gonna be, you're fatherless, and kids are gonna wanna know why, because the culture over there. That's right. It's like you can't get divorced. At least at that time. This was probably like, I want to say like the early '90s. So at that time in Mex, to get divorced was like a huge sin. Like you turned your back on God. You married the church, and then now you're dipping out. So it's like a big deal. So my mom had gotten divorced. I never knew my dad. I have like a few memories of him as a kid, like 3 memories, and they're all kind of like, they're kind of strange, formative. They're burned in my skull. Like, one of the memories was me using the bathroom. They're just like 3 flashes. I was like, because he was like, I was really young when he dipped. I must have been like 3, So from like 0 to 3, I have like 3, 4 blurry memories of him. One of them, probably the most vivid one, is where I'm in the bathroom. He's in the bathroom. And I had to go to the bathroom, but he also had to go to the bathroom. So he's taking a leak. I'm getting ready to take a leak. He's already taken a leak. I'm like this big, right? So I look over, and I'm just like looking at his tree trunk. It looks like a tree trunk, like it's that fat. And I'm like, whoa, like looking back at mine. Mine looks like a little pencil. His be looking like a fucking redwood tree. And it looks so different than mine that I thought he had like a different sort of situation. I was like, oh, there's different situations. We all got a different situation, right? He's got that kind, I got this kind. But no, it was just, he's like full grown, I'm little. And that blew my mind. Seeing his dick, like, like the balls, the dick, it was just like, as a kid. And that was it. Like, I would never see him again. So you're left with that. Like a big burst of a visual burst, and then silence. Because there was other memories too that were similar. But after those memories, after that, he dips. And there's a whole story there, but I'm left with just silence, masculine silence. Like, there's no more masculine energy. It's just my mom now, and so from that moment forward, I'm just kind of like wandering around, and I think I'm searching. I feel like I'm searching, because that's been the vibe of my life, like a life of searching, of longing, of curiosity, of wanting to pull back the layers, knowing that there's layers to pull back. It's like you feel you feel something underneath that's bubbling, but it's covered in sheets or blankets, but underneath there's movement. There's like pulses. There's like waves, but you can't see it. You feel the ripples, and they come out as like urges, you know, because you can't put a finger on it. They're just like impulses. So understanding myself became like something that was always difficult, not really having guidance, trying to understand yourself, using your mom as like a springboard, you know, like throwing stuff at her and seeing what comes back. But it was always like, the information that would come back was always not dumbed down, but it was like sugar coated or censored. You know, it was censored. It's almost like she didn't want me to see the realities of this world. She wanted to protect me from being a mom. I understand now. I'm not a mom, but like I could see now that I'm older, from her perspective, what it must have been like to try to shelter your young. You know, you're a single mom, you've birthed 3 children, and you see that one of them, the middle one's getting kind of like really, he's really pushing the boundaries of conformity. He's not trying to swim with the other fish. He's wandering, hey, come back, you know? So she's constantly trying to corral me back into this area of safety, you know? And so there I am, and searching, asking my mom questions. I'm really curious as a kid, so I'm asking questions, and she's not really giving me any meat. She's just kind of like trying to find the quickest way to get rid of this questioning, like to sort of like divert it into a more G-rated sort of conversation. You know, it's like she's like, oh, I see what you're doing, I see what you're asking, but now let me try to like twist it, or not twist it. Let me try to take that energy and bring it down a notch for you. Like, it's almost like she was trying to trim my sort of energetic hairs that were growing. Like it's like all this, yeah, this new energy that was coming through as you're growing. The testosterone's building, and she probably didn't. I don't know if she knew about this, but you know, maybe she did. My mom was pretty intelligent, but I could tell she was always afraid of me turning into my dad. I just knew it. Just a lot of what she would say, the way she would treat me, and it didn't help that I looked like the old man. You know, I later found pictures, and I'm like, dude, we look alike so much, even more than my sister and my brother. I'm the one who like fucking took a piece of that guy's face off and just, it was, you know. And so my mom probably saw like, oh fuck, he's just like that. He's turning into, I don't want him to turn into that type of guy, you know. So she was like trying to do everything in her power to mold me and push me in a different direction. And I could kind of feel that. I could kind of feel that there was some force that was sort of censoring reality and trying to like get me to go that way. I could feel it unconsciously. I could feel it. And this unconscious feeling was starting to stir up all this like angst, all this like tension, all this like, you know, it's like corralling a little cat, and the cat knows he's in a cage, you know, and he knows, or like a bird knows it can fly. And when you put him in a cage, he's like pent up. He knows what he's got. And that was me as a kid. I know what I've got. Why are you trying to like corral me here? Why are you trying to prune my wings? I want to spread them and fly. Right? Like that's how you feel. You feel like a rat in a cage, you know, and you're fucking just constriction and constricted, you know. So a lot of my early beginnings are like this. There's a photo of me. It's like a little family photo. I must be like 6, 7 years old maybe. And I got this like mean mug on my face, right? Everyone else is all chipper posing in the picture, and I'm right there like, you know? And I'm like, how old am I in that picture? You know, I'm like, that's like one of the earliest pictures of me besides school photos. And I'm like mean mugging, you know, I'm like, like I'm not playing games. I don't want to play. Like at that age, I'm already like, I don't want to play. So So I had this sort of this thing. I remember one day in third grade getting off the bus, and this one kid comes up to me and says, "Why you always mad?" And I remember I tripped out. I was like, "Mad? I'm not even mad right now." Oh no, they said, "You always look mad." That's right. That's what they said. They said, "You always look mad." And I was like, "Huh?" And it threw me back, you know? And I thought about it, and it just kept and I looked in the mirror when I got home, and I was like, my eyebrows, like I'm always frowning. And I was like, that they're right. Like I'm always frowning. My eyes are I just got it started becoming this sort of feeling that I walked around with, and not even knowing that that feeling was showing on my face until that kid pointed it out. And once I just started thinking like, uh, I don't feel mad, you know. But like maybe I walk around looking mad. Maybe I don't know. It was kind of confusing, but enlightening, because I knew he was kind of right. I'm like, you know, so there's like trapped feelings inside you that need to get worked through. Like, and oftentimes you don't. It's been happening for so long that you don't even know that it's still bouncing around in there, you know? And so this kid pointed that out, and you know, I I tried to change the look on my face. I didn't want to be known as the mad kid, you know? I didn't want to be known as anything. I wanted to kind of be invisible, you know? Why? I felt safe, you know? The questioning, I knew something I was starting to put together that I was a little bit different. Starting with the whole like the whole fatherless thing, you know? At that time, I feel like I didn't know too many kids, and there was no social media and Instagram and fucking YouTube, whatever. So you couldn't see what other kids' lives were like. It was actually quite mysterious growing up, because you would have to have friends and ask them or possibly visit their home to see how they lived, or they would have to share with you some of these insights. You couldn't just go online and collect data like you can now. You just had to kind of like imagine, or like you had to know, you had to investigate. It was a lot harder to sort of understand what was happening in life around you, to put pieces together, you know? So I felt at the time that like what I w- I couldn't tell if what I was going through was rare or common. You know what I mean? Until I started like getting a little older, asking more questions, and not I wouldn't even ask a lot of questions. You know what I would do? I'd listen and observe and like eavesdrop, and I was always like listening. I would play it off so good, you know, like I still do that. I'm really good at just like pretending that I'm doing something, that I'm pretending, not pretending. Like I'll listen. I'm good at listening. And you know, and that's how I gather a lot of knowledge. And so I do remember noticing at some point that not having a father was a father figure. Even it's not so much like the father itself, like your dad, you know. It's like a mentor. It's having this figure, masculine, that carries masculine energy, the polarity of the feminine, you know. I didn't see the polarity dance between a male and a female growing up, and I lacked this knowledge. And I think as kids, if you lack this knowledge, or not even as kids, as when you're younger, if you lack this knowledge of the male and female polarity, and then you get around other kids that have this knowledge, right? Their mom and dad raised them. They got to see even if they fight, even if they argue, they still get to see this dance of the male and female polarity sort of like boogieing in front of them, you know. um and then versus like someone like me, where you just have this one parent, like a singular entity that's doing what she's doing. Like, she's doing the mom stuff, right? But also doing dad stuff. Like, she's taking the role of both parents. But what that's doing is, you, as a kid, you no longer have a polarity. You have like this amalgamation. You have this sort of hybrid mentor. Your mom, my mom, she was like a hybrid mentor. She had all the masculine and feminine in one. You know, she was like that. I'm super grateful about her, how she was and what she did, you know? Like, for what she had, you know? And what she did with what she had was a lot. And so I never want to come across as like my mom wasn't enough or didn't do enough, you know? She did what she could with what she had, and she tried her best. So I just want to put that out on the table. Like, there's no there's no feelings of there used to be, but now I see how when you're there, you do what you can with what you have. You make your best decisions at that moment with the information you have. And so 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 I think what I was trying to say was, you know, would she would I got a little sidetracked, you know, because she's not here anymore. You know, that's another reason why I feel that reflecting on this is pretty important to me, because now that my mom's not here, um, the clarity that I'm able to bring forth has a lot to do with her not being here anymore. I know that's I'm not trying to sound messed up, but when she was here, there was like this tethering. There was like this line of emotion from one being to another, from me to my mom. It was almost like I still felt that I was a kid. I would never stop being a kid. She always treated me like a kid, because and not until I got older did she start respecting me a little bit more, because I was a loose cannon. And I had to prove to her that I can hold it down. That would, you know. But if we go back, you know, to when I was a kid, the Mexico thing, the my aunt telling me that, hey, the kids are gonna ask you if you have a dad or not, and seeing like, why is that important? You know, like, why is that important? And as a kid, I remember thinking too, like, doubling down on that. On that's not important. Like, oh my, I don't need no dad. Like, oh, he left, whatever. You know, I don't. He's here, he's not. What difference does it make? You know, even better, I don't have a dad. That means only one person's got to give me a ear beating. Like, if I got to listen to one ear beating from my mom and then one ear beating from my dad, like, even better. You know, I just got one parent to deal with. You know, I get an ass whooping once. Whereas some friends, I was like, oh, your dad's gonna whoop your ass, and then your mom's gonna whoop your ass. So to me, it was kind of like, okay, cool. Like, it's kind of like light work, you know? But that's what I thought as a kid. That's what you think. And that's pretty far from the truth. You want to have the polarity. You want to be able to see the dance of the male and the masculine and the feminine. That you want to be able to take that in. That's important data about the way things operate. And so having this knowledge early on is pretty important. Also, too, growing up Hispanic, Mexican, they don't really sympathize a lot with men. because because it's like the culture is like men are still kind of old school, like, and that gets passed, that mindset gets, to this day, still gets passed down. And it's a machismo mindset. It's like, oh, you're Mexican, you got to be tough, you know. And so Mexican men, they sort of like, they keep this beach ball in the air, because what I mean by that is like one guy says it, and then the other guy also says it, and then oh, you're Mexican, you got to hit that ball. Once that ball comes to you, don't let it fall, cuz our lineage is on the line. We're Mexicans, we're Hispanic. We got to be this fucking, like, that's our image. Like, it's sort of in the culture. It's weird. It's everywhere. That's why it's everywhere, and it's expected from you to be like that from the other Mexican men. Like, they see you and they're like, you better fall in line. Like, you know, you keep that chin up. You know, you're a man. You know, and it's kind of like, be hardy. You know, and so they don't sympathize with you. If you cry, you're a bitch. I remember that. You any chance they get to call you bitch, they're taking it. And so from the jump, it's like, don't be a bitch, don't be a bitch, don't, because they'll pick on you. The minute you show any kind of sign of that, they'll jump in that little crack and just spread it wide open. And they'll want you to feel that, so that you don't do that again, so that you don't act. That's how they harden you, you know? They put pressure on you, expose the cracks, and then they open up the cracks, you know? And then they're like, learn from that, you know, heal from that. Not even heal from that, they're just like, that's what you get. You know, that's what you get for being a bitch. You know, don't ever be like that again, because you'll get it twice as hard, you know, that kind of shit. So you see that, if it's not happening to you, you'll see it happen really early on. Like, the kids, I remember the kids are vicious. I remember going to school down there, first day of school, crazy fight after school. Everyone was talking about it. By like the last hour of school, everyone knew it was going down. They're like, yeah, we're gonna fight over there. And I was like, what? There's gonna be a fight? Fuck, there's already a fight first day of school. So I go see the fight, me and my little brother, because we were supposed to walk home, right? But then we start following all the kids, and we're like, oh, look, everyone's going that way, should we go? And we're like, yeah, let's go see. I mean, and so we go see. And yeah, bro, these kids weren't fucking around. They got right to business. They walked to the alley. It was like dirt, right? It was like dirt. There's like adobe huts and a dirt fucking alley, right? Dirt alley, adobe huts, and like some fucking light posts. They walk to they turn the corner, they throw their backpacks on the fucking ground, and they just start fucking swinging, going at it, boom. And I was like, oh shit, they're so fast, they're vicious. Like, they were fighting fast. And I remember like seeing a fight before and it wasn't like that. It was like more fucking kind of play fighting, but they were mad and really good. But no, here in this fight, they were going for blood. I remember he had him on the ground, and they had to pull him off, because they were like, okay. And yeah, I just first day of school. So in Mex, they just roll different, you know. And I saw like, oh damn, like, they're tough out here. They're real tough out here. You know, so then it started clicking. Like, when I was like, that's why they didn't want to know who my dad is. You know, like who are you? You know, and so like they were on a different trip over there. It was like a power trip. Everyone was like more like they were after some respect. You know, like that was the name of the game out there. It was like, who's respected, who's not, who's like, who's got balls, who doesn't. And so me, at that time, I didn't have like all this fighting drive like those kids did, you know? Like, to me, I found it exciting, but at the same time, I didn't want anything to do with it. I was like, like, what if like the pain, it looked like they just got, you know, when they came out of that fight, they were all dirty, and the shirts were ripped, and fucking blood, and like just tears, and like, and it was very, like destructive, like and I was like, I don't want to be destroyed like that. Like, you know, they both got it. It wasn't like one, they both got fucked up. Like both of them, like one of them was a little more like he came out on top, you know, but they both came out looking pretty beat. And I remember thinking like, it doesn't matter if you win or not. Well, I guess it does, you know. It does, cuz I remember like remembering that kid, like, oh man, he fucking gave it to him, you know. And he took some shots, but he fucking gave it to him. And so yeah, you know, where was I going with this? You know, you got to have someone training you. Basically, you're like a little doggy when you come out, you know, as boys. I call it the Digimon energy. Damn, I'm already 30 minutes in. Shit, 31? Fuck, I gotta cut it. All right, peace.